Hey everyone, welcome to Tony's Top 5. I'm Tony, and every weekend we choose a different topic and I pick my 5 favorite things that belong to that topic. So for our first episode here, we're going to go over something that middle class America just loves. The Oscars! Now they just happened probably about, I'd say 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I went through and I watched every single Best Picture nominee, except one. Avatar: The Way of Water, because Amazon Prime wanted $19.99 for it, and so did every other streaming service. And I didn't want to break the law and go on some other service. Really, I was just too lazy. But yeah, didn't watch Amazon. Avatar: The Way of Water. If that did work its way into my top 5 decision here, I will come back and I will correct myself. But I doubt it will. Now, the Oscars. Once you get past the virtue signaling, the millionaires patting other millionaires on the back, and just all of that other stuff, it's actually pretty cool because it's a good time to see what movie a lot of critics really fell in love with. And then you get a chance to compare that to, did audiences love these movies? So I went through, after watching those 9 movies, excluding Avatar, I went through and I said, what were my 5 favorite films that were nominated for Best Picture this year? And I think I made a pretty good list. So without wasting any more time, I'm going to get to our number 5 movie that's first on the list. You guys get it. From 2022, but for the 2023 awards season. And then we'll go from there. Now, before I start, I want to say that number 5 and number 4, they were almost tied with each other, but I decided to put them in a specific order because I didn't want to start off my first video doing a tie. That doesn't look good. So number 5 for the 5 best films that were nominated for Best Picture, I went with The Banshees of Inisherin. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I'm not from Ireland. I think I've got like a quarter Irish ancestry. But anyway, this film I was mainly attracted to because of the actors. It stars Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson. Now, ironically, I didn't think this was Colin Farrell's best acting performance. He was the Penguin in the Batman earlier this year, and he was phenomenal in that film. Brendan Gleeson probably did the best portrayal of President Donald Trump I have ever seen. Just got the mannerisms down and everything. He was better than the guy that's currently doing him on SNL, and that guy's pretty good. But yeah, this movie was directed by Martin McDonagh, and he also directed, wrote, and produced this. His only other work that I was really familiar with this year was, or not this year, but earlier, was 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri, which was an interesting movie, but I didn't really love it. Where this movie, I ended up really liking it. It takes place during the Irish Civil War of the 1920s, and it's on a little isle off the coast of mainland Ireland in this small community. And Brendan Gleeson and Colin Farrell have been lifelong best friends, and Brendan Gleeson out of nowhere just says, I don't want to be friends with you anymore. I want to focus on making music. I want to be remembered for something significant. I don't want to be remembered for sitting around with another drunk and just bullshitting all the time. And this breaks Colin Farrell's heart because this is his best friend. He really doesn't have much else in life other than his sister who he lives with and his animals that he takes care of. So the movie pretty much goes on with him trying to repair this friendship. And you would think, oh, that sounds kind of boring. Parts of it were, but it actually was pretty good, because it kind of brings to that question that us men constantly face, like, do we get hurt when somebody doesn't want to be our friends? Are we still a child? Or are we actually a person with feelings? And this one kind of dove into that, and it shows that it really can have a profound effect on somebody. But the acting was great. That's what really carried the movie. This could be a boring story for some people that, have a hard time with these buddy dramas and stuff like that. But I really liked it. I recommend it to anybody that wants a good story that's, funny, has a little bit of dark humor to it too, and just some good acting. I know with Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson both being from Ireland, maybe this was easy for them, but me being from the Philadelphia, Baltimore metropolitan area, if somebody told me to play something like that, I'd have a hard time doing it. All right, so that brings us to number 4 on the list. Now, this movie, some of you might be shocked that it's this place on the list because it's the movie that won it all this year. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Now, before people get too mad, I did like this movie. Obviously, I did. It made it into my top five. I just didn't get the wow effect that a lot of people did from watching this movie. I thought it was great acting. I thought it was an original story. It wasn't the first time I was seeing this concept. Just a couple other things. I thought they kind of took from the Family Guy multiverse episodes a little bit, but it was still a good story, and it had a good theme at the end with, focusing on family and, being so consumed with our work, and just a couple other really cool themes. And it was funny, too. Now, this film stars Michelle Yeoh and Ke Huy Quan. And you may remember the latter from the Indiana Jones Temple of Doom movie, where he played Short Round, and then he played Data in The Goonies. And Michelle Yeoh's been in a bunch of stuff, mainly Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Both of them were very good in this, especially Ke. He was phenomenal. He really just played a role perfectly as like this caring dad who was just trying, and husband, that was trying to hold the family together. It also had a supporting role from Jamie Lee Curtis, who also won an award for this film, and she was great too. Like I said, this was another film where the acting really held the film together, but it also had a really good story to it as well. This film was directed by Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, I think his name is, or Scheinert. They're known collectively as the Daniels. They did one other movie that I was familiar with called Swiss Army Man. I thought it was okay, but I thought this film was much better. So, did I think it should have got Best Picture? Yeah, in my opinion, probably not. But a bunch of people liked it. I liked it. So, I think that, that makes it a good movie, and I think people definitely should see it. All right, number 3 on the list. Don't know why I did 3 like that, but yeah, that's how I'm doing 3 right now. Maybe I'm from Germany. If anybody gets that reference, please put it in the comments. But yeah, number 3 on this film, this may surprise some people, but Top Gun Maverick. Now, I wasn't crazy over the first Top Gun. I mean, it was just kind of like this, bloated military melodrama, with this faceless villain and a homoerotic beach volleyball scene, which are all cool things. But, yeah, it just wasn't my cup of tea. I liked all the actors in it, but this one was just a really good film. It wasn't a lot like the original one. It was a lot more expensive to make, it seems. The visual effects were amazing, just with all the fighter jet scenes, and Tom Cruise just showing up and doing all these crazy stunts and stuff like that. He's an adrenaline junkie. Miles Teller was amazing in it as well. But the movie, being Top Gun Maverick, this was about Maverick, so it was a lot of Maverick. If you could make one complaint about the movie, other than it being too long, but that's kind of every film on this list if I had to pick one negative about it. But yeah, it's a lot of Maverick, it's a lot of Tom Cruise, but they do well with it. It was directed by Joseph Kosinski, who I wasn't too familiar with a lot of his other work, but he has done some things. But one main thing I noticed was, out of the 3 writers, one of the writers was Christopher McGuire. And Christopher McGuire's done a lot of things. He even won an Academy Award for being one of the screenwriters for The Usual Suspects back in the 90s. So he has written a lot of stuff. It's nice that they got him on board. I think having 3 different writers probably brought a lot to the table. But they spent a lot of money on this film. The actors worked really hard, and it turned out to be a really good movie. I haven't talked to one person, now this is people that I consider kind of meh film critics, and people that I actually respect their cinematic opinion, and everyone liked it. So there's got to be something to that. I'm glad the Academy nominated an action flick. I think people should definitely watch this film. Now, number 2 on the list, and this might surprise some people. I know I keep saying that before I go to every choice, but with this one, I am always complaining about biopics. It seems like that is a new thing. Like, there's such a lack of creativity out there and trying to find original stories that people and writers cannot wait until somebody dies so they can make a movie about them. But this one I made an exception for. It was another one of those that a lot of people watched. A lot of people told me I like it, and I watched it. And that film is Elvis. This was one of the better films I've seen this year. It was just, again, fantastic acting. Austin Butler and Tom Hanks starring in this movie were just phenomenal, especially Tom Hanks. Now, I know he's good in most things he does, but playing Colonel Tom Parker, he was just on point with this. He really made you think that he was this older, heavier Dutch con man, and it was perfect. And Austin Butler, I hadn't heard of him since he got this starring role for the movie. He was on point. He molded himself into Elvis Presley, and it was great. Now, the director for this film, Baz Luhrmann, I think his name is, his two other movies that he did that were, were pretty popular. I think it was Romeo and Juliet, the one with Leo DiCaprio from the 90s, and then The Great Gatsby, which also had Leo DiCaprio in it. I didn't really care for either of those two films. I didn't think they were horrible. They just really weren't my thing. So I was a little bit hesitant when I saw that he was the director for this, but he put together a great movie for this. I mean, the sets were good. The acting, like I said, was perfect. And it really showed a different side of Elvis Presley that we don't get to see that much anymore. Somebody worded it to me that this was a giant love letter to Elvis Presley. And in a way it was, but we see so many, there's a lot of negative stuff there about Elvis, and a lot of it's true. And he's kind of become a parody over the years with like the Vegas weddings and everybody dressing up like him. So it was nice to see kind of a positive portrayal of his life that also still did show some of the negative. But yeah, I thought it was a great movie. I highly recommend it. And yeah, check it out. All right, so number one on my list for the best Oscar-nominated film from 2022, and this may shock some people, I'm going to stop saying that, I swear, is All Quiet on the Western Front. Now, I don't know many other people that saw this movie. It was recommended to me by my friend Will, so Will, good recommendation. But man, was this movie phenomenal. Now, spoiler alert, or just a warning in general, do not see this movie if you have a weak stomach. If scenes like the opening scene from Saving Private Ryan, or Joe Pesci and his brother getting beaten to death in the cornfield and Casino bothered you or made you queasy, don't watch this film. It's a very graphic film, but it needed to be very graphic because one of the main themes of it was the horrors of war. And this film takes place, it doesn't really have that many big actors in it. The only actor I really recognized was Daniel Bruhl, and he played Frederick Zoller in Inglourious Bastard.
Und auf die Entfernung bin ich ein richtiger Frederick Zoller.
But yeah, everyone else, it was a German actor. It was a German director named Edward Berger. I hadn't heard of him until this movie, but they just crushed it. So the story takes place, it's four German teenagers, and they are all gung-ho about going off to fight in World War I. Germany is losing badly. They are short on resources, but the Kaiser and the rest of the government is persuading the general public that things are going great and they will be marching on Paris in no time. So these four boys are gung-ho. They are ready to go off to the trenches, and as soon as they arrive there, they are just greeted with the horrors of what is going on. It is a disaster. People are dying right and left. Men are starving. There is no equipment, anything like that. And that's pretty much the story. It just shows the struggle that these men are going through throughout the whole film. So, it's not boring. It's a long process of just showing this really horrible thing, which is war, that so many of us, including myself, haven't experienced. And I just really felt like this movie explained that so well. I wish it would have got more press. I believe it won Best Foreign Feature Film, but it was just a great movie. It really grabbed me. I don't think I paused it once, and it was over 2 hours long. I mean, definitely check it out if you think you can handle something like that. I can see why it didn't win the Oscar. But for me, if I would have been picking these things, I definitely would have put it in first place. It just hit me that much. But yeah, that's pretty much what I got. Let me know what you think of the list in the comments. Also, please put in some ideas there for future videos on different top fives I should do. And let me know what you thought of this. But thank you guys for watching this first video. I look forward to putting some more out there for you. Take care.